Welcome to the episode number 2. In this episode, we're going to unpack the academics, run you through most important pieces that you want to look at when you're doing your search for the Strathclyde University courses. The first thing you're going to do is to find the right program. The next thing is you're going to apply for that program. The third thing is your application journey. So again, I have with me Nidhi Sevaguru. Welcome, Nidhi, to the episode number 2. Let me start by asking you one question, right? Any particular program that stands out or which draws our Indian students? Could you shed some light on that?
Sure. Firstly, of course, thank you for welcoming me back again. And it's a pleasure, of course, to talk to you once again and for the benefit of students who are interested to go to Strathclyde. So coming to answer that question, I think it is quite widely known that Strathclyde is very popular amongst Indian students for engineering, as well as for business studies, and also in the area of biomedical and pharmaceutical sciences. They're quite popular in all of these areas, and they stand out. And of course, they started as an engineering background hundreds of years ago, I would have thought. And then, of course, they moved on into other fields, and they're very, very popular in all of these.
All right, great to know that there are so many streams which are available for students to apply and go in for that. So I'm asking you one follow-up question to what you just said. You chose MBA too, in your case, right? Was that like straightforward process that you chose MBA and you wanted to do only MBA at Strathclyde? How was the process for you?
Well, I think in my case, I had then already had 5-6 years of work experience. And I was quite clear that I was going to go for the MBA program, as I wanted to be more on the administrative side and strategic side of decision making in organizations. So I was very, very clear about it. And what made me decide, of course, is Strathclyde's international reputation, its global presence, as well as the industry connects that it has for students on the MBA program. And that really drew me straight into Strathclyde. Of course, I did make comparisons with other universities, of course, because I was going with my personal money and it wasn't a funded scholarship or anything like that. So I had to make a wise decision. So I did make comparisons. And for me, Strathclyde stood out.
Great. So you had made your own decision with your money, what you saved up, by working, and then you decided to go in for the program. That's I would say a great initiative which you took at that point in time. Also, you said that you wanted to add value to the organization you're going in terms of strategic decisions they would make, or help them making those big decisions. So this was something very interesting. Now, let me jump to the next, subject, which I would say is choosing the program and choosing the right one. That happens to be one of the biggest, I would say, decision which a aspiring student has to make. How to go about choosing the right program, because you have so many great programs at Strathclyde University, and sometimes it happens that you zero in or 2 or 3 programs and still contemplating which one to pick. So how is that possible to pick the right program for oneself?
I'm glad you asked me this question. Well, I think in a way, passion is important. It is very crucial, of course. You need to love what you're going to do. And it should also be part of what you want to do in terms of your career. So passion is important for a particular subject study. And also, at the same time, is about the industry needs. That is another point to look at in terms of balancing, right? So it's important for us to decide on, I'm just going for my passion and I'm not worried about the industry needs. Is that how it is going to be? Very largely, we need to match that up. And I think that's very, very critical today. And there are so many careers that are available, but is that matching to the industry needs as well? And I think that's important decision making one needs to make.
So it's of your passion and whatever stream you want to get into, plus the industry demand, right? Two or three mix of two or three things that put together puts one in a better position to pick the right program, right? And you said like there are many different streams out there at Strathclyde, which you mentioned is, right in the introduction. I would like to ask you that are there any hidden gems in Strathclyde which students overlook?
Oh, yes. Time and time again, I think over the last few years, there are number of fabulous courses that has been introduced by Strathclyde. And students tend to look at going through the very traditional mode. So if you've done mechanical engineering, you go for, post-graduation in mechanical engineering. So if you've done civil engineering, you do a post-graduation in civil engineering. Not really the case. Now you've got wonderful courses that are available, which are very specific to certain industries, and they are becoming big needs for that matter. There are degree programs that Strathclyde offers, which are connected towards the industry straight away, with internships available during the year. And this could include aerospace, there is courses on renewable energy, there is technology innovation and entrepreneurship, and there are multiple courses. So believe me, if I had a choice to go for a master's program today, I wouldn't choose the MBA program.
Great. Now, coming to one of the challenging parts of applying is the entry requirement. That happens to be, was it simple, complex? I want to ask you that. So, how is the entry requirement and how was your experience navigating the whole process? Could you shed some light on that?
Right. Well, I think during my time is very different. It was a very manual application back in 95. But of course, everything has changed right now to the online format. But nevertheless, I think what is critical is, number one, really start early.
Okay.
If you're really looking into September 25, thinking process should have already started now, right? It's very important. And make applications early. Take time to write your CV, revisit your CV again and again, and sleep over it for a few days till you get it right. And of course, the third and most important thing, of course, is the statement of purpose. And that is something that you really need to put your passion in terms of why you are choosing to study a program. That's very important. And the reason why I'm saying start early is because sometimes the references that you're looking for from people, very often you require two letter of recommendations, and referees can be busy. They could be traveling, they could be elsewhere, and they're not reachable. And you suddenly realize that you're making all these applications in the month of July, and you're not able to get one or two of them. And so I think that there are external factors in the application process because it's not just you. That's the reason why we absolutely recommend start early.
Start early is the mantra you can say for the application if you want to get through with the process, right? So this is what I can tell the audience who are listening and looking at this podcast. Great. I get this. Now, one of the thing is that whatever you do, there should be something which could challenge you or become a roadblock in your application, right? I think you know better because you have, engaged with students or aspiring students who want to go to Strathclyde. I want to ask you, what is the most common, hurdles or challenges which usually you come across while applying for the university?
Well, I think predominantly is about confusion over what degree to do is usually the primary concern. Sometimes I do come across students where they have made the decision on what they want to study, but not in a proper decision making. So in other words, they really need to revisit their decision. There's a hasty decision made on what they're going to study is one segment of people that I'm talking to. And there's another segment of people who are still wanting that help and assistance to make a decision on what to study. So I think if you get this right, then whichever course that you're going to apply for and you get the offer, you'll just close your eyes and you'll go because the decision making was very, very clear, right?
All right. I get.
Only when you are confused over what you're going to study and you make a few degree applications and you get a few offers, you're still in the same confusion. So I think it's important to get that part of it right. And of course, Strathclyde alumni are always available to kind of unpack some of the career aspirations and the anxieties that prospective students have. You could certainly talk to us. We've got graduates from all walks of life and understand what's happening in the industry and see whether that fits your passion and then make a viable decision. So you need time for all of this. And that's the reason why, as I said earlier, that you've got to start early because there are a lot of thinking process that would go.
All right. I can totally agree to that, what you just said. Now, what happens in the case of MBA? So you apply for MBA program at Strathclyde. Is there something which I need to do extra, or if I need to have something more than what my regular application would be for any of the other program? Is that something specific I need to do for MBA, or is it all the same?
Well, I think the MBA applications are a little bit more strenuous in the sense that you often don't get an offer letter until you've got an interview done. And that's the case with almost all the universities which expect you to have work experience before you come onto the MBA program. So they definitely will call you up for an interview. So it's very important that the statement of purpose is extremely very well written. And it's very much clear in terms of where your career direction is headed, where it was in the past, where you expect it to go in the future. And you've got your CV perfectly done up in terms of your past experience, and that what you're going to do tomorrow in terms of the work life is certainly going to be helpful with the MBA program. And I think all of this is important to have thought through very well in order to go for the interview.
Right. So work experience or work X is one of the important part of your MBA and application. And if you have an experience, that needs to be showcased properly with the application so that you have a clear roadmap that where you started and where you want to go, if I'm not wrong. Now, moving on to the application process. Application process is something which boils down to how you're going to do your application, how you're going to start, for, let's say, pick a program, right? You know the entry requirement, and you got to get on to the application process. So with the application process, let us look at your experience. Let us, talk about your experience. Was it like all smooth, or were there any speed bumps in your application process?
Well, I think once we get hold of what is needed for making applications, then it's a question of just working on it to get it done. But what is important is that you're not confused over what the requirements are. And I think that's important to get it right. So once you know what the entry requirements are, what is the admissions panel likely to be looking for in your application, and you've got that in, that's important, right? So very often what happens is people tend to write things from their own perspective, not to the understanding of what the admissions panel will be looking for. So I think you've got to also look at it from the other person's perspective in terms of whether you are a right candidate that they would like to. You may claim to be a right candidate to do the degree, but does the admission panel see you as a right candidate to invite you to Strathclyde?
Okay. So you got to have that perspective from the university side of things. You need to have a great understanding. Let me ask you this. How do we get that perspective?
Well, a number of us are available as Strathclyde alumni. We've been there, we've done it, we've graduated, we are in different places. Of course, I come from a business background, so I'm able to talk about business studies in particular. But there are a number of people who are coming from different kind of industries, and they are working all over the world. And certainly enough, they can give you a good insight over what they did different in their application, and you can get it right. And I don't think it's complicated at all.
All right. So you're saying that there are alumni, including you, whom student can connect with if they want to start your application?
Oh, yeah, of course. Why not? And I think we've been very good ambassadors for Strathclyde. I, in particular, of course, as the co-founder of the South India Alumni Chapter, have been quite active in promotion of Strathclyde. Certainly, there are a number of us who are willing to talk, who are willing to assist in terms of how to put the applications through. Yes, why not? Surely will be helpful.
Great. So people can connect with you and the alumni network, and always they're welcome to, help themselves in getting guidance and support from you folks. That's a great initiative you guys have out there. Right now, I'm asking you this. Now that you're on the other side, you've been through all this process of finding the right course, understanding the entry requirement, applying to the university, successfully completing the course, and now that you're a leadership coach and a mentor, how your decision turned out to be?
Right. You mean my decision to have done the MBA program?
Yes.
Well, I think reflecting back, it was a good decision. It was an ideal decision, of course. Looking back over the 25 to 28 odd years of journey that I've had since I graduated on the MBA program, and I think it's been quite exciting in terms of how I look at things, how I view things, the strategic way in which you kind of unpack issues. I think it's been a great program and it's been quite helpful to me in terms of my career for sure, and no doubt about it. What's very important is MBA is not always the answer, right? In the current situation that we face in the industry today, there are a lot of specific knowledge that the industry is looking for in individuals as well. So be very open to the fact that you might be a very good candidate for an MSc degree in a specialized area rather than MBA program. So be open to the fact that it's not always the MBA title that matters at the back of your name.
I kind of understand that and I follow what you just said. So I hope, everyone who's listening or looking at this podcast will also second. Right. Thanks for sharing all your insights and, I would say pearls of wisdom, which comes with a lot of experience. What is that one thing you want to say or advise to the people who are still thinking about it, Strathclyde?
Well, and I think I did cover this in the first episode that you had with me. I think if you don't know Strathclyde, don't worry about it. The corporate world knows Strathclyde. So don't be too worried about the recognition of Strathclyde. If Strathclyde offers the course that you're absolutely looking for, there is no reason why you shouldn't go to Strathclyde. It would be a great decision for sure. In a lovely business city, a little bit about the weather in terms of it being colder, but other than that, I think you'll have a fantastic learning experience.
Great. Thank you for your valuable inputs and for your time. Hoping to see you in the next one.
Thank you very much.